watching the values being printed in the console, I jumped into the axe in level 4, and Red Ball's X and Y position were now completely different. The jump from roughly X 270 to X 770 were familiar, as the death spot and the ending flag in level 4 were determined earlier to be roughly 500 units apart. With the default size of the game being 550 by 400, the game now thought that Red Ball was over 200 units off of the right side of the screen, exactly where the end flag was positioned. However, this jump in X and Y position is seemingly random. Dying in different positions on the map caused Red Ball's X and Y position to change by completely different amounts, and no mathematical relationship can be found.
No.
We have to look a bit deeper if we wanted to fully solve this mystery. While Red Ball stays at around the same position in the game's camera, he also has an X and Y value in the entire level relative to some origin point. I realized that, for whatever reason, when Red Ball died, the position of his bounding box was set to what his position in the entire level was. As mentioned earlier, the bounding box of Red Ball is determined relative to the game's camera, which is only 550 units wide by 400 units tall. So if Red Ball died at X position, say 773 in the whole level, the bounding box of Red Ball would be placed at X position 773 in the game's camera upon dying. Red Ball's new bounding box and the flag overlapped and would activate, despite Red Ball not actually being visible. But we still had no idea as to why. Discoveries like this had always been attributed to some sort of flash jankiness, but it still felt possible to figure out exactly what was going on. Thankfully, Red Ball technical expert Sage ended up cracking the code. The game of Red Ball is made up of
How?
layers or elements that make Death Warp possible. Think of the stage as the 550 region that the game displays at all times. The stage is like a camera that pans around the level as Red Ball moves to keep him in frame. In the game's hierarchy, the game is part of the stage, the current level is part of the game, and Red Ball is a part of the level. Thus, everything that Red Ball does is calculated as being a part of the current level that is moved. When Red Ball dies, he is removed as being part of the level, which causes his sprite to no longer render. However, because Red Ball is a fully rendered, he still exists in the game state, not being a part of any layer of the game. So, Red Ball defaults to becoming a part of the stage, or camera, since it is the highest member of the aforementioned hierarchy. This is what causes Red Ball's position to now be set relative to the camera of the game upon dying. This is what allows for the death warp, as the dramatic change of coordinate system shifts the player's effective position very significantly. To apply our newfound knowledge to other levels, Sage had a genius idea. He figured out that by drawing a line between the origin of the level and the end flag, and then finding the midpoint, giving a rough estimate for a spot that Red Ball would need to die at in order for a successful outcome. Another diagonal line would also need to be drawn from this midpoint to account for Red Ball not being positioned on the very top left corner of the camera or its origin. Sage drew these lines in level 4, and it matched them flawlessly. Like a bunch of energetic tacos, we began toolboxing fresh packs of programs to draw all over each level in both Red Ball and Red Ball 2 in hopes of discovering new possible Death Warp spots. Unfortunately, we didn't end up finding anything new. Though a checkpoint warp in level 7 and an end flag warp in level 8 of Red Ball 1 seemed close, neither ended up working out in practice. Thankfully, the Death Warp in Red Ball 2 lined up perfectly with our model, confirming that the mechanism behind it and the warp in level 4 of Red Ball 1 were exactly the same. So, there you have it. The how and why of Death Warp fully explained. A glitch confirmed to be present in the games Red
the
Ball,
fuck was that?
Red Ball 2, and Rad. Unfortunately, we did confirm that the glitch was not present in Red Ball 3 and onward due to Red Ball being more properly destroyed upon death. but some more applications would eventually be found. Speedrunner XDXbox Jaja managed to save around a second in level 16 of Red Ball 2 with a death warp from the toxic water. And people managed to death warp in level 9 of Red Ball 1 using a pretty much TAS-only plunger inversion. But this one didn't end up saving any time. When DHA first shared the mysterious checkpoint warp in level 13 of Red Ball 2, we first wrote it off as some sort of flash jankiness, a mystery that we couldn't solve. However, when Yellow Skarmory posted his video of the first ever death warp in level 4 of Red Ball 1, and we connected the dots between the two occurrences, we knew that something else had to be going on. The Red Ball 2 death warp was extremely easy to perform on accident, and had certainly happened to casual players for over a decade. Now, 12 years after the game's release, we know exactly why. Currently, the level 4 record stands at a 9.129 by Dead Karma, set on March 30th, 2021, with the run utilizing some very difficult jumps on the stairs in order to squeeze out some extra time. In full game runs
Holy
of Red
shit,
Ball,
I wasn't looking. I thought you couldn't make that cycle. I didn't realize. I forgot that I missed the first cycle and then fucked up the second cycle. I didn't know you could make that.
Yellow Skarmory was the first to perform the level 4 death warp, and a clear progression of the level 4 individual level world record followed thereafter. Right?
Here I come.
Did you hear that? In a video titled Red Ball, The Quest for Axe Perfection, speedrunner Insane Jetman outlined his conquest to try to perfect the level 4 individual level speedrun, hoping to get a perfect beginning and back corner boost off of the falling platform. Jetman goes through an attempt that he unfortunately killed by accident by jumping into the first axe.
Get it?
Oh,
Accident.
I thought that was it. Why did I jump again?
But what he didn't notice is that he had actually become the first with recorded video evidence to perform the death warp in December of 2020, over 3 months before Skarmory posted
That's a
his
1
video.
pixel
He had
for
unwittingly
sure.
achieved a time of 9.613,
That's not even gonna make it. That's not even
over
1
2
pixel. It's
seconds
just me
faster
not
than his
pushing
goal
far
of
enough, probably.
11.710, a time which he ended up achieving and displaying at the end of his video. And scrolling below the video, you can see the following comment from Mario 7829 posted when the video was released.
This is a 1 pixel.
607. That flag sound effect. Indeed, the level 4 death warp had been right under our noses.
Love losing 20 seconds to something completely out of my control.
We could have figured out everything months earlier, which would have completely altered
That's
the
really
world
fun.
record
This
progression
game's
of Red Ball
really
that we
fair.
see today. Many of the supposed level 4 individual level world
Man, this
records
is
that were
gonna be
mentioned
fun
earlier in
to
this
fucking
video
do in
were
the
never
full series
world records
tournament.
at all. Insane Jetman had accidentally gotten a 9.613 in December of 2020, a run which wasn't added to the leaderboards until April of 2021, when it was finally noticed that Jetman had actually completed the level via death warp.
Now.
The vast majority of accidental skip discoveries in speedrunning are noticed right away, as the player almost always sees that something unusual has happened. However, with the case of Insane Jetman, the effect of the glitch was so subtle that it was initially only noticed by just 1 out of the 1,500 people that saw the video. It was only until around 2 weeks after Death Warp had been figured out that people managed to connect the dots. If Yellow Skarmory hadn't posted his first Death Warp on March 25th, 2021, who knows how long it would have been before somebody actually investigated what happened in Jetman's video. The story of Death Warp is quite a curious one, both from a lore and technical standpoint. One that displays an important message to any speedrunner or glitch hunter. Every lead, no matter how small, should always be investigated. There's almost always some kind of robust, technical explanation that can be uncovered. Well, most of the time at least. Thank you for sticking around to the end of the video. I know that this possibly got a bit boring at times due to all of the technical stuff that had to be explained, but I still hope that you enjoyed watching. If you want want to see how Death Warp impacted the quest for Sub 3 and Red Ball, make sure to watch my previous video. And make sure to get subscribed for future videos on the subject, because let's just say that things have gotten more interesting. Thanks again for watching, and have a great rest of your day.
This is world record pace. I just got something to say in a good run. Wait. That's world record!
I love
There's no-
watching It's Max.
301! I got
That was balls.
Holy shit!
A double world record of 301 in 12 levels and 438 in
301.
17 levels. 2.7 seconds behind his PB going into level 11, he knew that he had to go for sub 20, and, unbelievably, it paid off. After over 14,000 attempts, Jonas, a newcomer to the community, defeated EG's record by about 2.5 seconds. However, as it turned out, around 2 of those 2.5 seconds came from a brand new strategy found in level 4 of the game, the Death Warp. By dying in a very specific location on this axe in level 4, Red Ball would miraculously activate the flag at the end of the level. As much as I would love to explain how this strategy works and the discoveries that led up to it, I'm just going to have to wait
what
for
the
its own
fuck?
separate video.
Idiot,
This
retard,
trick,
retard,
of course,
dipshit,
has
dipshit,
massive
dumb
implications
cunt,
in
dumb
regards
cunt.
to achieving a time under 3 minutes. Previously, runners would have to match the pace of EG's 307 going into level 11, while also nailing a good sub 20 train in order to have a hope at attaining a sub 3. Now, all
What the
runners
fuck?
would need is a pace of what previously would have been a high 309 or better. While 2 seconds may not sound like a lot, in a game as
I have
short
to
as
play
Red
this
Ball,
literally as
fractions
safe
of
as
seconds are often
possible.
hard to come by. A former 307 pace into train is almost an order of magnitude more
This is
unlikely
not
than
even
a
a
former
sub
309
say.
pace.
Oh my god.
Sub 3 is
No,
still a
no, sub
monumental
9.
order,
This isn't gonna sub
but
9.
because of
What
Death
the
Warp,
fuck?
attaining it in
This
the
is
near
gonna be like a
future has become much
940.
more realistic. Jonas now has a 301 flat as the current world record, putting him just a second off of the milestone now. Carmel has also managed to get a 304.967 without having to utilize sub 20 train, a strategy which can save 8 seconds. Carmel later achieved a 303.57 on the 14th of April, which did employ sub 20 train, but it unfortunately has no recorded video evidence, making the run unverifiable. However, a more unlikely player in this race to sub 3 is none other than XDXbox Jaja. He currently has a PB of just 313.750, but he has much more experience in level 11 than any other runner. After achieving his 14.774, Xbox kept pouring hours upon hours into the level, eventually tying this 18 more times. After all of this effort, he finally managed to
Am I
improve
really
his PB
about to
by a
not get
single
sub
frame
10?
to 14.742. After tying 14.774 7 more times,
I
and
lost over a
14.742
minute.
21 more times,
What the
he
fuck, you dumb
finally managed
cunt?
to end his grind with a
Retarded,
14.677,
that's what I am. I am
getting the quarter
retarded.
boost that he wanted on the second card. While the game's top runners can hit sub 20 train every few minutes on average, Xbox is more consistent than that with sub 15 train, which saves 2.5 seconds on average over a solid sub. The fact that Xbox has hit sub
Fucking
15
stupid that
almost
that's
50
minus
times at
1
this point is made even
minus
more
a
impressive by
minute
the fact that from
and
the
a
8th
half.
of February until
That's
the 8th
fucking
of April,
stupid.
he remained the only person to have
I should have
ever
been at
gotten
least
it
minus
even a
fucking
single time,
2.5,
with Speedrunner
if not
Insane
minus
Jetpack
3.
finally managing to become the second person to pull it off on the 9th of April. Another reason why sub 20 train itself has recently become somewhat more consistent is because of a discovery that was found through the task hack of the game. As it turns out, part of the reason why Sub-20 Train even works is that the way that the game determines what objects you are contacting is extremely flawed. Quite often, you can exit an object with the game's contact.
I don't get it. I
still
don't get it.
thinking
This game just
touch it.
fucking hates
If
me.
this listener gets a few phantom objects stuck in it before the player makes
Like,
contact
I'm
with the
already
object, it will
going
increase
to
the
not
chances
be
of
ahead
Red Ball
at this
successfully
level.
jumping
I've
on it
already
over time.
ruined it.
While players were
And I'm not
unintentionally
even
doing
in
this
at
before,
level fucking
it is now
6
known
yet.
that the best strategy to bug out the game's contact listener is to land on the second to last card. Get stuck in between the two back cards.
Like, it's already
roll
over.
forward to
The run's
only touch
basically
the
already
second to
fucking
last
over
card again.
because this game sucks
Jump.
dick.
Doing this will cause the game to still have this card in the contact list as you jump towards the red spikes, increasing the chances of a successful Sub-20 train. The race to Sub-3 has quite a few players, and there is currently no telling when it will happen or who will be the first to pull it off. Red Ball is a speed game with an insanely high skill ceiling, with a wide array of incredibly difficult and inconsistent strategies, with many strategies now existing in many levels that are easily more difficult and inconsistent than Sub-20 Train. Nonetheless, it's still hard to believe that miracle strategies like Sub-20 Train even exist in the first place. Sub-3 is not only the last minute barrier, but also almost certainly the last 10-second barrier that the game will ever see. And the train level is still by far the largest obstacle that stands in these runners' paths. There is no guarantee that a large number of attempts in the game will lead to someone getting the first Sub-3. With such an inconsistent strategy at play, any runner with the right amount of experience and luck can suddenly bring a dead run back to life, or even be put in position for the first ever Sub-3. So, who will be the first to complete Red Ball in under 3 minutes? Largely, it's up to the train to...
How did that? What the fuck? How is that not PJ? I literally paused in the right frame and everything. How did it do it twice?
I got 2 balls.
2 hops, but no
This is
cigar.
fucking retarded.
Thank you all for sticking around to the end of the video. This was super fun to
That
make,
was
and I hope you
the
all enjoyed
fucking
watching.
stupidest
Before you
bullshit I've
leave,
ever
I would like
fucking
to
had to
thank
deal with.
Xbox, Carmel, EG, XZC, Jonas, and Jez for helping me out with this video. Without their help, it
This is
wouldn't be
fucking
the
retarded.
product
This
that
is
it
retarded.
today. If you want to have a chance at seeing the first Sub-3 happen live, I highly recommend following
Like,
the
I've gone
Arson
full
Carmel,
fucking retard.
Rare_EG, and XDXbox Jaja Twitch channels, as they sometimes stream their PB attempts. Jonas, the current world record holder, unfortunately doesn't stream, so maybe drop him a sub instead over at DaBaby Gaming on YouTube. And no, I am not making this up. That's his actual YouTube channel. And finally, if you weren't aware, I too stream
Time to go
Red Ball
from
speedruns
minus
over
1
at my Twitch
minute
channel,
34 to like
twitch.tv/maximum,
plus fucking 5
though I
minutes.
usually stream games on the Red Ball 4 side of things. Make sure that you are subbed so you
sucks
won't miss
so
the upcoming
fucking
Death
much at
Warp
this
video.
fucking game,
Thanks
dude.
again for watching, and I hope you have a great day.
Yeah, fucking great.
Thankfully, while streaming 3 days later, Maximum had another chance.
Holy moly, no way!
319. It was real. After around 6 active years of speedrunning competition, rivalries, advancements and discoveries, Red Ball's last 10-second barrier was finally shattered. Well, at least its last realistic 10-second barrier. But this didn't mark the end of the world record competition. Remember Norxor, the guy who had a low 3x as his PB? At this point, he was long overdue for getting a 2x, but nobody could predict what would happen on the 12th of April 2020. Just like its maximum, he entered level 12 on 318 pace, and then choked it. However, he still managed to finish the run with a 322.833, making it the craziest PB the community has ever seen. And Norxor wasn't done, not even close. Norxor choked 319 time and time again, and the new world record of 317.833 set by its maximum on the 10th of June wasn't making things any easier for him. This run made use of a new strategy in level 3, found by Norxor himself, which abused the fact that moving platforms are only hinged on one center point. Whenever one of these platforms became tilted by Red Ball's downward velocity, they would quickly kick back into place. By combining a jump with this platform kickback, Red Ball had the potential
losing
to
over
reach
40
great
seconds.
heights. So great, in fact, you could manage to reach the flag in level 3 from
Which
the
is
right
at
hand
least a
side,
40 second
saving
round.
around
It's
2
45.
seconds. Another notable thing about this run is that it was the first world record performed on the standalone Adobe Flash Player, which avoided using the web entirely. I'll briefly hand over the metaphorical narration baton to its maximum to explain why this has significance.
People continued to play Red Ball via an HTML file on an internet browser for 2 reasons. One, you could
40
actually
seconds
zoom in the
lost.
game, which was essentially necessary
50,
for Spike Glitch to work
50
with.
seconds.
And 2, this jump in level 10, which saved around a second, was only possible on web for whatever reason. Standalone always came up short. The first of these problems was solved by re-enabling the Show All option in the right-click menu, which caused the game to look like this, as opposed to this when it was full screen. And problem 2 was solved by digging through a multitude of different Flash player versions to find the one that behaved the same as the Flash web plugin did in level 10. This new way of playing the game, dubbed Definitive Edition, made the game much more accessible and enjoyable to play overall, and it also provided a solution to the looming threat of Flash being removed from all internet browsers in late 2020.
Using Definitive Edition, Norxor finally achieved his well-deserved sub-320 with a time of 318.969 on the 20th of June. This run would have broken the world record, if not for him missing the stair corner jump at the very end of the run. On the 19th of July, Norxor missed the bounce pad jump in level 10, making him lose over 2 seconds, but with the rest of the run going smoothly, he managed to take his PB down to a 318.633. On the 22nd of July, Norxor entered level 12 with his heart rate monitor reading over 190 beats per minute. He had the potential to get a 316 this run. He jumped into the small patch of spikes and died. Later that same day, Norxor failed to jump at the beginning of level 10, causing him to die and costing him around 2 seconds. Entering level 12, it was still possible for him to get world record, but this small hold-up on the corner of the ending rail cost him around half a second. He ended with a time of 318.100. On the 23rd of July, Norxor was on 317 pace going over level 12, and yet again missed the corner jump on the stairs, costing him the record. Later that same day, Norxor entered level 12 on 315 pace, but died on the second jump on the spike pit. Even later that same day, Norxor entered level 8 on good pace, when this happened. A 3.5 second long lag spike. This is a flash moment that had never happened before, and has never happened since. He finished the run with a mid 318, which would have been a high 314 if not for that dastardly lag. Red Ball had beaten Norxor to the ground time and time again, with the world record just out of grasp every single time he completed the last level. But thankfully, Norxor wouldn't let the curse last forever. 317.367. Norxor finally achieved the gold. However, this wouldn't mark the end of the world record progression. Norxor proved that, at the very minimum, a 314 was attainable using the current strategies. So who would get the next world record? Would it be Northstar or its maximum? Actually, it was rare EG. EG, whose PB was still sitting at 322 when Northstar set his record, decided to make his return to Red Ball after quickly learning all of the new strategies. On the 30th of July 2012, he entered level 12 7.6 seconds ahead of his personal best. If everything went well, he would have a 314 to his name. But an unfortunate death in the first spike pit in level 12 cost him world record, with the run ending at 317. Thankfully for EG, the very same day he snapped the world record with a time of 316.850, coming back from being 2.4 seconds behind
ahead of
level
this
11. On the 4th of
fucking
August, its maximum achieved a
Could've golden.
315.868, a time marked by the newly developed Red Ball.
I'm probably behind Zen.
His only significant time losses were around a second and a half from
I'm
slow
definitely behind
6
Zen.
and another second and a half from messing up the
Could
scale
gain
in
fucking
level
time.
12. Only 2 days later, EG snapped back with a 314.433.
Unfortunately, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
The scary thing about this run is that there appeared to be little to no mistakes. A trained eye could find some suboptimal gameplay in levels such as 9 and 10, but this run seemed to further enforce that Red Ball had somewhat of a hard cap around 312 with the current known strategies. Some of the current IL only strategies at the time, such as Pass 3, Double Jump 6 and 8 Cycle Skip, could be implemented to unlock a time in the 30x range, but the success rates of these strategies were all seemingly slim to none. Things would go quiet for a while, but eventually Norxor would achieve the legendary 312 on the 5th of September 2020.
312! Yes! Yes! Yes!
The run had a suboptimal 7, but Norxor saved some time by nailing the plunger jump in level 9 and getting a 1-jump wall bounce in level 10. A time like this was well overdue for Norxor, whose previous personal best sat at a 316. With Norxor's run, there was a possible time save of a second and a half in level 7, just by adding 8 cycles skip into the run, which saved a little over a second. 309 would become a very feasible time. Sub 320 was once believed to be the last 10-second barrier this game would ever see, but now the path to sub 310 was clearer than ever. It was no longer a matter of if, it was a matter of when. The 5th of September also marked the beginning of the second Red Ball 12 levels tournament, which drew in 14 participants. EG, who was now 3rd place on the leaderboards, tore his way through the winners bracket, whitewashing every single one of his opponents. In the winners final, he faced off against its maximum, who had just defeated Norxor in a nail-biter losers final. Few expected that EG would maintain his winning streak all the way to the end, but that's exactly what he did.
Only a couple seconds ahead of maximum.
What an incredible performance. Rarity is the champion of the Red Ball 12 levels tournament.
With the pop-up.
And it wouldn't be...
Oh, and he's got champagne. Oh man. The rare crew popping bottles for this victory.
in the trophy.
The tournament proved once again a fact that many in the Red Ball community already knew. EG was destined for greatness. No matter what game in the series he was playing, EG always had an uncanny ability to achieve high rankings, with great improvements over his previous personal bests by keeping calm and collected during the ranked levels. If anyone was going to be the first to score 0x, EG would most likely be the one to do it. Following this tournament, its maximum, EG and Norxor would all start streaming multiple hour-long 0x grinds. At certain points, all three would be streaming at the same time. The three had begun to master the cycle skip on level 8, sometimes hitting it 3 or 4 times in a row. A strategy that was once thought to be impossible was now beginning to get mastered. On top of this, EG started to implement a modified form of 6-ramp double jump, which saved a respectable amount of time over Norxor's strat. The major downside to this is that it was plagued by the random ground jump just before the end, adding even more randomness into the run. Despite all this, All three were more than capable of attaining their ranks. All three were willing to do grinds almost every day for weeks, if not months, to be the first. So, who is it going to be?
This asshole!
Come on, let's fucking go. 307! Come on!
That asshole fucking jumped over him.
Yes! Come on, baby! I'm fucking Tiger Woods! Let's fucking go! Let's go!
So, where do we go from here? Taking a look at the 17 levels category, the world record is currently a two-way tie at a 48 flat between EG and these runs had 12 levels times that were in the mid-1x range, so improvement can still be made there. However, with levels 14 and 17 both being quite difficult to nail, a faster 12 levels time certainly does not guarantee a 17 levels world record. EG's 307 12 levels time is an absolutely masterful speedrun. It is possible that it will stand for years without ever being beaten. EG has little reason to go back and try to improve his record. Norxor, Yak Attack, and I have all had runs that have been OX pace into the late game, but none of us have been able to close them out. Additionally, none of these late-game runs were on pace to topple EG's world record. As of now, EG, Nor, I, and Yak Attack are the only people to have ever attained even a 1x. That's not to say EG's record isn't beatable though. The essentially theoretical limit of the game is marked by the time of the segmented run, which has been created by the culmination of hundreds of hours of IL attempts put in by various members of the community. So what do you think the time of this segmented run is? A low OX? A sub 3? Try 245. That's right, 245. Around 20 seconds faster than the world record. A large chunk of this time save comes from just one strategy, sub 20 train, which I have made a whole video about the discovery and implementation of. This trick has the potential to save a massive 8 seconds over the traditional train strategy. Unfortunately, this trick has a success rate of, at best, 1 out of 200, with little hope of that success rate ever being improved. So, unless you want to match EG around 200 times going into level 11, sub 3 will remain completely unattainable. All the other time saves come from the fact that Red Ball is simply a physics sandbox. There is no speed and really weird things can happen if enough attempts are drilled into a certain level. Just ask me, I put around 20 hours into level 7 IL to save a single second over the RTA strategy. Putting every strategy that is even remotely RTA viable into the run produces a ceiling of around 302. So the only way to theoretically make sub 3 possible is with the use of sub 20 train. So yeah, the future of 12 level world records certainly looks discouraging, but you still can't help but smile, looking back upon all the amazing history that has led up to EG's monumental 307. All of the previous world record holders of Red Ball each pushed the envelope of what was believed to be possible in their own unique way, and their accomplishments were made possible by the help of numerous glitch hunters, strat finders, and supportive community members. The story of Red Ball's world record progression is one that should inspire any speedrunning community, big or small, for being the metaphorical little engine that could. Red Ball's very existence as a speed game is somewhat of a miracle. It is a simple 3-minute-long Flash game from 2008. It was completely ditched by the site that sponsored it in 2004, and the platform that it was made from, Flash, had been kicked to the curbside before competition even started getting serious. Despite all of this, Red Ball persevered, with its storied history producing a truly amazing world record, and, more importantly, an extremely active, dedicated community that shows no signs of dying out anytime soon. And all of this was made possible because in 2008, a Russian concrete mixer salesman sent a link to a blog. Thanks for watching.
What even is the world record? 1, 2, 3, and move over to the 4th. Hey, this is a world record. If this hits. Yay! 607. Woohoo. That was awful.